Welcome in to episode
Hello.
12 of Going the JC Route. I'm JC. That's the Birdman. AJ Brock's
Hi.
off doing something again. But we're glad
Drugs.
you're here. We're happy to be here. We are just back. We're coming off. Men's team won today. Happy World Cup. Uh,
It wasn't
unfortunately,
pretty,
I
but
think.
it
Unfortunately, I
they
now think.
got it done.
I'll tell you what. It wasn't pretty at times. They looked good at times. They looked bad at times. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I now think Berhalter's done just enough to keep his job. Uh, but I think the fact that this was the youngest lineup in the World Cup this year, and we looked that good, that means good things for the future.
You know, I'm not a.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, we're running into one of the most talented teams in the World Cup this year in the Netherlands next round.
Yeah. I'm not an expert on European football, but yeah, they looked really good. Well, they didn't look good. They looked they advanced, which is huge for, like you said, the youngest. You said the youngest team in the World Cup.
The youngest
Is that-
lineup
is that-
in the World
is that-
Cup so far.
Okay, so like it's a huge thing for it's
Not
a
even
huge
5
confidence
years
boost
old.
for them. It's a huge confidence boost
And
for
those
them.
things- 100%. The team hasn't won since
Yeah.
June, but they've done just enough to get it in.
Well, not just that, but like you're talking about a team that like hasn't been in a World Cup in 8 years, and they finally went back, and it wasn't pretty. They won only one game, but like, I mean, you took care of business, and now you're moving on. Now we'll see what happens with the Netherlands. But I mean, you've done what I think you've accomplished what I think you should have accomplished in this World Cup. Next World Cup is going to be a little bit different because it's here, and there's going to be higher expectations. But baby steps. You take baby steps.
I was looking at a couple of the Netherlands lineups from earlier this World Cup. They played a 3-4-3, so they played with 3 center backs, and then they let their full backs play as wingers, and which is fine. But what we did today was our center backs, Ream and CCV today, they played as like the hangbacks, sweepers, and then we let Jedi and Dest play as wingers because there's so much space on the wings. They're running up and down the field the whole time, crossing the ball in. That worked really well. I mean, I really liked what Jedi did. I really liked what Dest did. Carter Vickers was really, really good. Our 3 midfielders put in an absolute shift. Musa, Adams, they were really good. Weston McKennie, I feel like there was more that could be desired. He had a couple bright spot moments, and don't get me wrong, I love Weston McKennie, but I feel like there's just a little bit more that could have been done.
Yeah.
And then Pulisic put it on the line, literally got his put his future on the line for that goal.
he put it, in a time when we needed it. Captain America came through.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that was. And
I think the biggest thing was there's a lot of energy, which is awesome. You can do that when you have a young squad. And the thing is, they were smart with their passes more often than not, especially in defending. All of our back line and our defending midfield, they were really, really smart passing the ball. Our problem is our attackers are making one too many passes. There's countless times when I'm yelling, shoot the ball. And they're trying to make this extra pass to get a cheap goal. And I'm just like, put it on net, see if you can get a rebound. You've got 2 other attackers there with you.
Well, it's a case of both, though. It's a case of sometimes you get a player that's either too selfish, like in the moment, pass the ball over there, or you get a guy that's in the same moment. You might get the same guy who's way too unselfish. And I think it comes with time because they're still very young. But the more and more you play, the more and more you play with the U.S. team, you're going to start to realize when to pass and when to not. And but that was a big issue, and that might be a big issue whenever you have to play the Netherlands on Saturday.
that's the one thing that it frustrates me a little bit is the Netherlands are able to play a 3-back because their defending is so good. I mean, you've got De Ligt, you've got Van Dijk, you've got De Vrij, you've got Ake, you've got countless different people, and then your midfield's pretty solid. I mean, you got Frankie de Jong, you've got a couple other people. Their wingers don't exactly scare me as well as their attackers. I know Gakpo, their attacking mid, center forward, maybe even a striker. He plays a little bit all just the center of the field. Really, really young, really, really talented. So they've definitely got holes, but it's one of those teams where we have to be able to capitalize on our opportunities, or we're not going to be able to get enough chances to win that game. Even if we get 1 or 2 chances that game, we've got to make sure we capitalize on them, or we're going to lose that game. And I mean, unfortunately, I'm almost anticipating we lose that. But if we can defend solidly enough, like we did today, and then make good passes and take advantage of our opportunities, we'll win that game. Because outside of Gakpo and a couple others, their roster is really good and deep, but nobody really scares me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens on Saturday. I think that Netherlands will ultimately win. I think it'll be a lot like if you look at the Netherlands in their group stage, they haven't dominated, but they've taken care of business with the exception of Ecuador, who they tied. But like, I think that's the case because like
they beat.
Go ahead.
I'm saying they beat Senegal 2-0, which that team went through. They got to play England, which good luck. But I mean, Senegal's roster is really good, but England is they're a horse this World Cup. They drew with Ecuador, which I don't really know what happened there. I didn't really get to watch that game, and then they beat Qatar 2-0. So
yeah. Well, and the thing is that, unlike the Ecuador match, which I watched because I'm part Ecuadorian, but like, the difference is that with the U.S., there's not going to be a draw. So I think that I feel like it could be another case where they're just because of how good the defense is. It's going to be a low-scoring game, but they ultimately find a way to win.
I feel like if we can control the midfield, we can win that game. Which luckily we have an awesome engine of a midfield, but
I'll say this, I'll say this though. In my time of watching sports, the best team does not always win, and I think that's even more so whenever you talk about European football, because you've seen it. I mean, all around the World Cup, Japan beating Germany, Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. You could be the best team on the pitch. You could be a much better team on the pitch, but all that matters is that one ball finding the back of the net. And maybe something stupid happens on Saturday and the ball finds the back of the net. But I mean, we'll never know. We'll never know until Saturday. But crazy things happen. It's why it's sports, and it's why I've grown up loving it so much.
It's a little refreshing talking about anything other than college football right now. One, season's over.
Oh my gosh!
It's been
agonizing.
I don't even want to hear about a bowl game.
Oh my gosh! Are you serious? We Arkansas. Like, I don't even know how many people have transferred already, or have been put into the transfer portal already.
I think Oklahoma's had 2 transfers so far.
I think I read somewhere where Arkansas is going to go into the bowl game with 1 scholarship player at receiver or at quarterback, and Jaden Hazelwood has already declared for the draft.
Yeah. Well, so people can't officially get in the transfer portal until the 5th, but people are announcing already.
But they've declared it. But it's a double-edged sword because it's like on one hand, you see a lot of people leaving your school, but on the other hand, you look at other schools and you're like, what? Alabama's got people leaving. Texas A&M's going to probably have a lot of people leaving. Like, so there's things that happen. But I'll say this about Arkansas: I'm not upset with Musselman at all. I think that it could have been a lot better because at the end of the day, like they went to back bowls after what was a horrendous couple of years. But I think this next year is huge for him, and what he happens, and if he can change the culture and get us into what was last year. Because I don't know where the program goes from there.
I think Oklahoma's projected to be in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and I think their projected matchup as it stands is Wisconsin. So
we're projected to either play Baylor in Memphis or play Illinois in Florida.
Gross.
Think about it.
No, I think
about it.
I think the only thing.
No.
Yeah, I know the Brett
Bielema
Bowl. I know. The BBB. Don't come for me, LeVar Ball. I don't care. I don't know. Dude. I think more than anything, I'm just excited the team gets 15 more practices.
I think I'm ready. Okay. I don't even know who's going to be on the team next year, honestly. I think I'm just ready for football season to be over with. It's just been agonizing.
At this point, I'm looking forward to recruiting. Get me into that. I'm happy. Speaking of recruiting, I'll tell you what. Jackson Arnold has been a beast this entire year.
I mean, I like how we're just going. We're not even transitioning into anything.
I'm just rambling at this point. It's fine.
That's fair,
dude. And I'll get back to college football at some point, dude. Didn't Geyer play South Lake Carroll this weekend?
I can't go. I want to go. I want to watch it. I can't.
I'm working.
I'm going to end up. I'm going to go to South Oak Cliff and Melissa in Choctaw. What's ooh?
Less fun, but I know.
It's a game. I'm going to a game. It's a playoff game.
Yeah.
But I really want to see that one. Like I think, I mean, Geyer's got one of the best secondaries probably in the state.
And they have the best quarterback in the state.
Yeah. I think that they'll probably win a state title in their conference.
Because what round is this though? This is like what, quarters? Round of 16.
Semifinals is next week. Semifinals is next week.
Oh, quarterfinals essentially. To be matched up against South Lake Carroll in the quarters. Yikes.
Gosh, I want to see that game so badly.
Because who else is left in 6A? Let me pull it up. Yeah, let me pull it up. I'm curious now. We've gone on this tangent. 6A, you've got Louisville and Prosper on Saturday.
Okay.
Which Louisville beat the brakes off of their team last week, and I was surprised.
I watched that. I went to that game too. That was
I wasn't breaks off Keller. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, we watched Keller play against South Lake Carroll. Like, that was not the same South Lake Carroll that came out and played against Louisville. Louisville came out, like you said, Louisville came out and just obliterated them. Mm-hmm. It was 28-3 at halftime or something like that.
Yeah,
and like I was like,
3.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
DeSoto's playing Clean Harker Heights. It is what it is. DeSoto will probably win it. Duncanville is playing Spring Westfield in Austin. Then you got CE King out of Houston playing Katy. And you got Atascocita playing North Shore this weekend.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And then you've got Westlake playing Brennan. That'll be fun.
Going back to Geyer. So Geyer wins. They play probably the winner of DeSoto and Harker Heights.
I feel like if they'll play the winner of Louisville and Prosper.
What?
Are you looking at the bracket?
I'm looking at the bracket.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I'm looking at the actual brackets. Yeah.
So they play the winner of DeSoto and Harker Heights?
Yes. And then and then for Prosper Louisville playing each other. Duncanville Spring Westfield play each other. The winner of the Prosper Louisville game will play the winner of the Duncanville Spring Westfield game.
And then
the winner of the North Shore Atasita game plays Brennan, the winner of the Brennan Westlake match.
Okay. And then you still got Dripping Springs and Austin Vandegrift. I'll tell you what, Dripping Springs, their quarterback is also really good.
Yeah.
And then I know nothing about Katie and CE King. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you anything about those two.
Katie's always good. But so it's coming down to the end, which is exciting for the state of Texas.
Yep, and the more and more I've looked at this, the more I get impressed. But I know they're not like. I got impressed by how good Parrish's non-conference schedule was.
Mm-hmm.
Like just because I'm looking at it and China Spring is in the hunt. They're playing Anna this week, and if they win, they go to the semifinal.
Anna and Salina played an absolute banger of a game this past weekend.
What was that game at?
It's a shame I don't remember where it was at. I was just ashamed that I wasn't in town to watch it because that would have been an awesome game. I think it was 29-27 or something like that.
Yeah.
Regardless, we're off topic.
Yeah.
All I know is Jackson Arnold's going to be awesome in Oklahoma. It's going to be really, really fun. I saw a statistic earlier today that efficiency-wise, out of 64 Power 5 quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel was 31. Slightly above average efficiency per play, but he's slotted in between Jaden DeLaura and Brady Cook. And I'm like, that doesn't exactly get me excited.
No, not necessarily, no.
So he's the best we've got, and he's been decent, but he's got to be more accurate moving forward. If he stays around next year, and two, we plan on being competitive next year because we've got to be able to be lethal when open. And we had a lot of open receivers, just not be able to hit them with the ball.
Yeah, that definitely does not help whenever you're trying to go win a football game.
So
especially one.
So here's a funny stat. As far as Oklahoma goes.
Yep.
We had, I want to say it was 4 one-score games this year. We lost all of them. So last year we had, I want to say it was 6 or 7 one-score games. I think it was 7.
And you won them.
We won 6 of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
a Heisman quarterback or likely Heisman winning quarterback. It's the difference in us being 6-6 and 10-2, 11-1 both years.
I mean, yeah,
and now barring another upset from Utah, please Utah, Mormons, help me out, please. I do not want to see Lincoln Riley in the playoff this year. He'll get beat down by Georgia in the first round, like always. But
while we're on that topic, what do you think about? They just released the rankings, playoff rankings earlier today. Did you get a chance to look at?
I don't have any beef with it. I think it's right.
Yeah, so Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, TCU number 3, USC number 4, Ohio State number 5, Alabama number 6. Yeah, I agree with it. I thought that was going to be it from the beginning. TCU hasn't lost a game. Although I think that.
Imagine TCU loses and USC loses. Now we're looking at potentially Ohio State and Bama getting in. Ugh,
I don't mind Ohio State getting in. I don't want to see Alabama getting in because
I
they
don't
should have
like
lost about 4 games.
it.
Alabama should have lost 4 games.
Yeah.
But out of the 4, because they all are in, out of the 4, because they're all in championship games this week. Who's the most likely to lose? And then who's the most likely to win their game?
I think TCU's the answer for both of them to me, because I feel like TCU's most likely to lose to K-State because K-State's really good, but I feel like they're also the most likely to blow out the opponent. Actually, that's a lie. Michigan's gonna roll Purdue. Sorry.
See, we're on the same page because I respect what TCU has what the Hypnotoad has done. I mean they've gone and played and won every game, regardless of how they did it. They did it. They went out and they won every game that they played thus far. But the thing is that with TCU, I just feel like you look at every game that they play and you're like, okay, well, there's a chance for a loss. It just, to me, that's just how it is for them. And the thing is that the last time they played Kansas State had a 3-touchdown lead when they had to go and play their third-string quarterback. So I don't know if it's going to play out the same way, but if it plays out the same way and you don't get your third-string quarterback or your first and second-string quarterbacks hurt, then they probably win that game. But it's going to be interesting with Kansas State's mindset after losing that game when they were up by a pretty big margin. So they are, to me, the easiest answer, followed by probably USC. But then, I mean, Michigan's just going to roll Purdue. Like, I don't know. Like, I almost, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm shocked on Saturday night, but I almost feel sorry.
Hold on.
If what's up?
An absolute stunner. UAB has named Trent Dilfer their next head coach.
You mean the guy that didn't do anything except win a championship or a Super Bowl with one of the greatest defenses ever? That guy?
He's been a pretty good high school
going
coach.
Back.
It'll mean nothing.
I mean, honestly, you'd probably have better chance of getting a pass on a high school coach if you hired a high school coach. But I almost, there's a part of me that, and I know the game hasn't even started, and I don't even like to say this, but if Michigan doesn't put up 30 or 40 on Purdue, and that I mean, they're still going to win, but it's going to, I mean, I just don't see a way that Purdue beats Michigan at all, especially after the way they looked against Ohio State.
I think Michigan's a better team than they were last year, which is scary because if they get through TCU or whoever they're facing in the first round of the playoff, I think it's going to be a lot closer against Georgia this year.
What? Here's the other thing too. Georgia was a lot better last year than they were this year, I think.
100%.
And like as of right now, like you look at those teams, there's not a team that stands out. No team stands out of any of those teams.
I mean, until further notice, Georgia still gets the benefit of the doubt, but I think the one that looks the best based on recent events is Michigan. But I mean, Georgia hasn't misstepped this year or given us a reason not to think they're number one.
The thing about
the hottest team right now, just based on what they've done recently, but nobody's like wowing me. Kind of like we knew Georgia was going to win last year.
Well, yeah. Well, oh crap! I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Continue talking. I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know. I really want to get through championship weekend before I make any judgments as far as bowl games and playoffs.
That's true. I guess you're right. Yeah, I should not jump to conclusions because this may not even be 100% accurate. And I honestly, I hope it is because anything to keep Alabama out. Anything to keep them out of the playoffs because I don't feel like they've deserved it. But I mean, we'll see what happens. Crazy things happen in sports, and football especially.
Yeah, like in basketball, the Mavericks actually won a game tonight.
I know. I saw that. They actually beat an actual opponent and not themselves. That's a headache in and of itself. And speaking of headaches, the Cowboys won on Thursday.
Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about that?
I don't see why not. I mean, it was fun. It was close at first, and then they remembered they were good, and they kind of. I'll tell you what, Whack-A-Mole is a great game,
especially when it's played with tight ends. Wait, pause.
They had 14 personnel.
Yeah,
like, you're gonna tell me you can't love 14 personnel?
They played. I mean,
you had.
I'll say this: the difference between Dak in the first half. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The difference between Dak
I'll say
in the first half. I'm talking.
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
The difference between Dak in the first half and Dak in the second half was absolutely really different. I mean, first half he was throwing either underthrowing guys or overthrowing guys. Was not playing great. Second half he looked so much more comfortable. And one thing that I've noticed that I don't think, maybe I haven't really been paying attention a lot, but I feel like I've noticed is that he's been running the ball a lot more than he used to, especially since that injury that happened. I mean, it was like 2 years ago, but he looks like he's more comfortable running the ball, which makes him look more comfortable in the pocket and making throws.
To wonder what happens when you're able to run the ball effectively.
Yes, and you use both of the running backs how you're supposed to. I like last year you were using an injured Zeke too much. Well, now you've kind of evened up the load for both of them, which has benefited Zeke. Zeke looks fairly decent. He's running the ball fairly decent, and Pollard is doing the same thing. You know, they're very much playing complementary football, which shockingly enough helps the pass and helps Dak from being on his ass too much.
I can't help but think about how somebody's going to pay our tight ends in the coming years, and it's not going to be us.
Well, for now you have a couple of rookies that are very good, so you got a little bit of time there. But then,
so I'm saying on that touchdown play where they had the Whack-A-Mole, it was a jet sweep to Peyton Hendershot of all people.
Well, I mean, you look at going.
On the same play, you also have Ferguson, Schultz, and Sean McCown on the field at the same time. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I love me some 14 personnel.
But the thing is, whenever we were in Philly, you saw some Hendershot and you saw some Ferguson. And what about who was it that had that leap in the game? Was that Ferguson? That was Ferguson, wasn't it?
It was Ferguson, yeah.
They're not just your average. Schultz is your average. Like Jason Witten back in the later years, he'd catch the ball, then he'd kind of he wouldn't really fight as much as he used to, and then he'd kind of just go down. Hendershot and Ferguson were fight for yards.
Yeah, because they're 25 and they don't, their bodies don't hurt yet.
That's also true, but Schultz is not that old. And I don't know. It's just nice to see that, and it especially hopefully, we see more of that come playoff time. Is there a team that stands out to you in the NFC?
In the NFC?
In the NFC. Since we're, talking about the Cowboys and we're on that side of the ball. Or that side of the NFL.
I have to go with the Eagles until further notice still. The last couple of weeks they've looked a little less convincing, but it's on them until further notice.
The thing for me is that I agree with Aiden's or AJ's perspective that they really haven't played anybody and they've looked bad against teams, and they probably should have, they struggled with Green Bay for a little bit. They had a trouble against some, I forgot who it was, but they haven't looked unbeatable. But the thing is you look around the NFC, nobody really has looked unbeatable. I mean, San Francisco has been up and down. The Rams are absolutely
really good teams in the NFC. Well, I say that we have a lot of good teams in the NFC East.
That's true.
Because I mean,
like
as it stands, Tampa Bay's winning the South at 5-6.
like that. Like, we're not even talking about the NFC South. Like, the Vikings are inferior when it comes to the primetime games. We're not even talking about the NFC as in general, because the Green Bay Packers are eliminated. The Lions aren't going to be able to make it. The Bears aren't going to make it. And then you look at the Rams are not as good as they were last year. Like, really, it's the NFC East, and like you said, until further notice, until they lose a game in the playoffs, there's nothing that says to me that the Eagles aren't that team.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, as much as I don't like to say that, as much as it pains me, they're the team to beat, and until somebody does it, like, there's nothing that says that they won't be able to go. But
I'll tell you what, though, the good news is 4 of the Cowboys' last 6 games are the AFC South. In our last 6 games, not necessarily in this order, but we play Colts, Texans, Jaguars, Titans, and then we have Eagles, Commanders. None of them scare me other than the Eagles, really. Everybody else.
The Titans are the thing,
and everybody in the South outside of the Titans are bad.
Well, the thing with the thing that I don't know if it scares me, but intimidates me, is Derrick Henry, because of his ability to run the ball and our lack or inability to be able to stop the run. I guess we've gotten a little bit better the last 2 weeks, but I still haven't seen where they've ran the ball significantly enough against our defense to really tell you this defense has really gotten better at the run. So, like, when we play them, it's going to be a little intimidating playing a guy as big as he is and as good of a runner as he is. So that game is I don't know about scary, but extremely intimidating. Then you talk about the Eagles game, which hopefully we can beat them. But if they can run the ball, then it's going to be hard. But yeah, I mean, you should be able to win the last 2 every game, except for probably those 2, and maybe the Commanders.
It's the same shit. I mean,
whatever. By the way, while we're on the topic of the Commanders, did you see the statue that they unveiled for Sean Taylor?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm not a Commander fan. I will never be a Commander fan. If I was standing next to the people who came up with that thing, I would have punched them in the face. That is disrespectful. I don't even that is just the worst. I would have punched Dan Snyder in his ugly ass face.
wasn't exactly impressive, was it?
No, it was. It's like I saw it and I was like, are those your new uniforms? Are those new uniforms or what? Like,
it's not great. I'll tell you what.
mm-mm.
It's not good.
Hell no, it's not great. Not great. That's an understatement. Unless I misread somewhere. Maybe they.
But then
I don't know,
again,
maybe they're going.
it's not my team. I respect
It's
Sean
not.
Taylor, but the Commanders have sucked for a while. Their franchise sucks. Their owners suck. Their stadium sucks. Their uniform sucks. Their mascot sucks. Nobody cares. So it's like,
Don't
what do you want
don't
to do
say
about it?
don't say anything bad about the city. I actually like the city.
There's a bunch of stupid politicians there.
That's true. That is true. I will
I'm
say
leaving
that.
it at before we get political. Anything else that we want to ramble on tonight? Since we're kind of all over the place.
The Cowboys' idea to go all in and sign Odell Beckham Jr. is. I said this on the ride with AJ to the watch party over at FC Dallas before the game. If you were gonna go all in, shouldn't that have started in the offseason? Shouldn't that have started whenever you were having literally a lot of people were reporting one of the worst off seasons in their history? You didn't go for a trade. You didn't trade anybody. You didn't sign a free agent. Heck, the main free agent that you wanted to sign went to the Broncos. The Amari Cooper you traded for beans. You couldn't get anything. You couldn't get anything back from him. You got a project in the draft who turned out to be a very good project, I might add. But he was still a project. And then whenever the trade deadline comes, you do nothing. At what point do we go? At what point did we go all in? At this point, like, you shouldn't even try to go all in because you're going to screw yourself in the face.
Let me say this. All that happened. We did nothing in free agency hardly. We did nothing at the trade deadline, and we got better.
I'll see that whenever it comes playoff time.
Against the Cowboys, we're going to lose in the first round anyway. So
Probably, but like
But
I'll say this until the day I die. We could be 16-0, 17-0 now. I will be super doubtful of them until they show me that they can actually win a playoff game.
100%. I just feel like this year we feel like a more stable and complete team than we did last year. And we're still planning on getting Anthony Barr back. We're still going to get Tyron Smith back. If for whatever reason they decide to add Odell Beckham to the mix, that's another fun add. That basically fills our holes for a playoff run. Whether we can actually turn that into playoff wins, yet to be determined. But, I mean, we're in a solid position, especially with our remaining schedule. Because our remaining schedule does not scare me one bit. We're going to find a way to lose
It
to
doesn't.
the Jaguars, and it's going to piss me off. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yes, we will. In the meantime, I'm done. I'm done.
I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Thank you for tuning back in. We're happy to have you here.
Good night.
We'll be back next week with another episode as usual. Hopefully,
Maybe everybody will be here. Maybe people won't be lazy. Go Hogs.
You want to talk?
I guess. Go back. Go basketball. What do you mean?
No, I'm gonna leave it at that. We'll see you when we see you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk next time.